Today, I want to talk to you about getting better at using small handholds. And you might think that that just means improving your finger strength. But when it comes to using small handholds, there are actually three really important facets to that game. And we want to kind of dive into each one of those separately today. The first thing I want in your mind when you decide to get better at moving on small holds is there are two big mindset factors that need to come in. The first one is consistency. You need to look at this as a change in your behavior rather than a fix for your finger strength. This is a long-term development, and it's something that you need to implement into your lifestyle rather than to do for a couple of weeks in the hopes that somehow you'll amazingly get better at using small holds. The second part of that is that it's going to take a lot longer than you thought. And so patience is your second mindset cue here. You need to be really, really patient with it. You can't force it. You need to coax it. And when we kind of get the good mindset on long-term view and that I've got to change the way I behave from here on out, then we can get into these three main principles of improving small hold climbing. Okay, the first part of getting better at small holds is improving your finger strength. But improving your finger strength on large holds, like adding weight to a harness and hanging from 20 mil edges, is really, really limited in scope. And so when we go into the gym to try to improve finger strength, we need to continually try to address smaller and smaller holds. That seems sort of obvious, but you would be amazed at the number of people that think that pulling on big holds is somehow going to translate directly to being able to pull on small holds. That's just not the case. When it comes to getting better at using small holds, we're obviously going to try to improve your finger strength on those holds. And the first step in doing that is to get used to using smaller holds in the performance environment. What that means is when you go to the crag, you don't avoid the crimpy routes, you seek them out. When you're on the boulders, you do crimpy problems rather than try to do compression or pinches or whatever your strength might be. And I have had so much experience with this because crimping has always been challenging for me. And the only time that I'm able to ramp up my ability to use those small holds is when I actually go out there and try to use them as often as possible. In the gym, we can address it a couple of different ways. The first way we love to address small hold climbing is just applied strength on a fixed board. You're just moving slowly between small holds on a steep, maybe a 20 to 30 degree wall, working on just holding those crimp positions and pulling through that range of motion. We try to use the smallest holds that we can effectively use without getting sloppy. You can put your feet anywhere on the wall. We're not really worried about body positioning there, but we're just getting used to crimping and using very, very small holds. For these, we usually will do sets of moves rather than, say, doing problems. So you might do 3 left hand moves and 3 right hand moves going up your moon board or your tension board. We want to be really careful about trying to develop strength in the fingers here rather than worrying about making long reaches or trying to do actual problems. The third way that we can address this in the gym is really just to hang from our fingertips. And you can use a hangboard, you can pull a block from the floor, or you can even use like a campus board and use some offset holds. But the important aspect here is not to pursue greater load, but to pursue smaller holds. And so you'll slowly make your way down from your 20 mil or 15 mil larger edges to smaller and smaller and smaller holds. And most gyms these days will have holds all the way down into 6 or 5 or even 4 millimeters. So the way that we would address this would be to cycle in and out of these really small holds. And for example, you might do a set of hangs at 20 mil, rest a few seconds, then do some at 15 mil, rest a few seconds, down to 12 mil, down to 10 mil, down to 8. And I love to keep people in this realm of hanging for 5 to 10 seconds, which is sort of the top end of our finger strength range. But it's also really important that we're careful about making sure the fingers don't get overtaxed by this, because if you haven't been doing it, it's quite hard on the tissues. There's a ton of different programs that you can do for this, but the general idea is to keep pushing yourself to using these smaller holds, because you will change the position of your hands, you'll change the position of your wrists, you'll change the way your shoulders engage. There's a lot that goes into getting your body ready to use these. And so we just want to be real gentle with ourselves as we move into that. Hey climbers, I know that you know that ClimbStrong is a coaching company, and I feel like we've got the best coaches in the business. I also think that we have the best training programs in the business, and we put all of those up on our training platform, and you can check it out for just 12 bucks a month. This is going to let you as a self-coach climber build the program that you want, that's going to lead you to better results, and we've got great tracking metrics and everything else on there, so go check it out. Strength, important. It's something that's really useful when we're trying to get better at small holds, but there are two other really big aspects of this. The second aspect is tissue quality. A lot of people don't think in terms of, oh, I have to actually change the tissue on my fingertips, but that is really what happens is we've got to thicken up that skin. We've got to thicken up those fatty pads in the fingertips. And that takes a long time. That's a slow adaptation to get the skin where it can handle that stuff. When it comes to tissue quality, the wooden holds that we all find so nice to train on may actually be counterproductive. And so using holds that stress your skin a little bit, and of course, when you're climbing outside, you're feeling that. Your skin really takes a beating. But being willing to climb on some plastic holds, being willing to pull on some things that are a little bit sharper, those are things that are going to start addressing this tissue thickness. A really important aspect of this is taking good care of your skin. And that means washing your hands after training, lubricating your hands after training, and then even using specific skincare products during, before, and even after training. What we really want is to take good care, make sure we're not getting cracking or peeling there, and let that tissue actually improve. The tissue care is a huge part of it, and it's super easy to diminish. But you need to be able to train into that zone where you're like, wow, this is really painful on my skin, and then recover from it, then go deep into that zone again. And so we'll continue to add more and more volume on these smaller holds, not only for the strength gains, but also for the tissue improvement. The third aspect of this is to improve your climbing technique. The fact of the matter is, when we're using small holds, there's a tremendous amount of technique involved. It's not that people that are good at tiny, tiny crimps are just that much stronger than we are. It's that they have better technique. They have better momentum, better body positioning, and just a better way of relaxing the rest of their body when they're holding onto these holds. One of the things that we can do in practice, either at the crag or on boulder problems in the gym, is to really try to spend time planting more weight into our feet, trying to unload those hands as we're pulling. And this can be a big change for a lot of people, especially those of us that come out of like the steep fixed board mentality, where just pulling harder feels like the solution to go to the next level. Trying to hold on a little bit looser, trying to use your feet a little bit more, lets us start to use smaller and smaller surface area on the hand. There are a few technique mantras or ideas that you can keep in mind. And that can be saying to yourself, keep my feet underneath me, or toes first, or hips in. Those sorts of things that are these little technique reminders that help you get to where you can grab these holds and use them gently. The really difficult thing, if you're not strong enough and you don't have good enough technique to use small holds, is that you have to get more dynamic with them. And when they get small enough, you just can't do that. When we've got tiny, tiny holds, we need to be able to plant our fingers on them really, really gently. And we need to be able to move off of them really, really gently as well. And so that's an entire technique focus that's going to be a major part of this. Again, if you're a training-oriented climber and you like strength training as much as I do, your tendency is going to be toward building stronger fingers. But you've got to remember that there are these two huge other aspects, tissue quality and technique, that are probably as powerful, and they don't take near as much out of you. What we really want to do is think about this as a three-part process. Yes, I want to get stronger. Yes, I want to improve my tissue quality. And yes, I want to improve my technique. If I'm only focusing on one of those things, my ability to improve is going to be very, very limited. And so when you start into this like finger strength for small holds, also consider doing some skill work within that session that improves your technique, and spend the time to make sure that you're taking good care of those fingertips. Like I said at the beginning of this video, you've got to be really patient and understand that this is a long-term process. Nothing is going to feel like it's happening in the first month or 2 months or even 3 months. It's going to be 6 months or 9 months or 12 months down the road that you start to notice your ability to use these holds has really profoundly changed. You've got to be really consistent with the training, and especially when it comes to that tissue quality, man. If you are not pushing those fingertips, you know how quickly they'll go soft on you. So remember, when we're trying to get better at small holds, it's 3 parts. Get stronger, improve your technique, and improve the tissue quality in your fingertips. And after a year, you're going to be a lot better at it than you are today.